Hello everyone, Biot-Savart here with another faction guide. This time I'm talking about Pontus. In my opinion, the most unique faction in all of Rome 1 or Rome Remastered. Why do I say that? They have buildings available to them that are both Greek in nature and Eastern in nature. Your religious buildings are the Greek gods of Zeus, Aphrodite, and Hercules, whereas your military units start off Eastern but become Greek as you advance further. You start off with Hillmen and Eastern Infantry, as do Parthia and Armenia, but then you get to build Phalanx Pikemen and Bronze Shields with their very long spears, as you're familiar with if you played the Greek city-states. I believe they also have access to Phalanx Pikemen, as do, I think, Macedon. So, let's talk about strategy here. From what I have discovered, there are two equally viable starting strategies as Pontus. The first of which is the one I employed in my playthrough, where you take everyone you start off with, all family members, including your spy, and head on down to Tarsus and besiege it immediately, declare war on the Seleucids immediately, siege Tarsus, conquer it, then move on to Antioch and conquer it immediately, after you stabilize the situation, of course. And at that point, you can make peace with the Seleucids or see what else you can do down in Damascus. A Seleucid army might be down there. In my own playthrough, there was virtually nobody in these towns, so I could take them pretty easily. But feel free to recruit a mercenary, too, if you need it for the long run.
Yes.
And then at that point, the Seleucids will be happy to make peace with you. They'll even give you a few thousand gold to make peace, because at that point their empire is going to be split in half with Sardis over here, and Seleucia and Hatra over here, and possibly Damascus. So, moving on from that, why do you want Antioch? At the start of the game, Antioch is a minor city. That is very important to note, because a minor city allows you to build the city barracks in it immediately, because that allows you to build the Phalanx Pikemen. Those Phalanx Pikemen are going to be the only thing keeping you from getting completely run over by Egypt and their chariots. Because your two starting units of Hillmen and Eastern Infantry, these are very bad units. The Hillmen are just barely usable at 4 morale. But these are going to get run over and scared by chariots immediately. You need to build Phalanx Pikemen in this city pronto before Egypt declares on you. At the same time, you're going to want to rush your army back up north, because in my playthrough, on very hard difficulty anyway, Armenia was very eager to declare on me, and every 5 turns or so they had a new stack headed down south here from Kotais, using these roads to come on down. What you can do to know when they're coming is, instead of sending a general up here to build a watchtower, you are granted one ship over here, and you can place it right here in this corner, and that'll act as a forward scout to let you know when a new stack is coming, and you'll then know what to do, or when to move your soldiers back up north. Meanwhile, in that time, if Armenia isn't coming, I would certainly recommend your next strategy moving up is to secure Western Anatolia here in Pergamum, owned by the Greek city-states. That should also be a healthily grown city by the time you get there. And Sardis will still be owned by the Seleucids. You can take them out. The thing about fighting the Greeks, such as the Seleucids and Greek cities, is that you are going to want to prioritize having ranged units to attack them, because you probably will not have enough Phalanx Pikemen at that point in the game. Your only city capable of building them is going to be Antioch, which you're going to be saving for Egypt. So definitely prioritize your Pontic Light Cavalry to just shell them with your 6 volleys of 7 missile attack, and that should weaken them up somewhat. Your slingers also may be able to do some effective damage. I can show them here. Your peltis, excuse me, of a missile attack of 6 will be able to do some decent damage against Greek phalanx units. Nonetheless, after you secure Western Asia, you're almost certainly going to want to secure your southern flank in Syria, the Syrian region, because Egypt is going to want to declare war on you sooner rather than later if you're playing on very hard. At that point, if you have enough Phalanx Pikemen in Antioch, I would definitely recommend taking out your fellow Eastern culture factions of Armenia, hold up in Kotais and Artaxarta, and then you can quickly take out Parthia over here in Phraspa and Arsacia, and that'll secure your eastern flank. I don't believe you should have any fear of the Scythians coming down, or if you do, just build a watchtower here and here, and that'll let you know beforehand of them coming over. But their supply line down here should not concern you. Your supply lines of reinforcing your Caucasian cities up here north, south of these mountains are going to be much better than Scythia's. Just defeating them once will set them back many turns, because they don't have anywhere to reinforce. And nonetheless, you should have... I want to talk about a little bit about why these units are so good, these Phalanx Pikemen. They have the bonus very long spears, which means you're going to outrange every other spear unit that Egypt and the Seleucids start off with, and whoever else you face, including the Romans. So, for morale, do not be misled by that. They're actually going to fight much better than the opposition, because the spears are going to be in combat, not the actual soldiers. They're not going to feel as though their morale is in danger. So you'll definitely outrange the Egyptian, Nubian, and Nile spearmen as they come. And the thing is, they're even good against Egyptian chariots, because Egyptian chariots need to actually swarm the phalanx unit to actually inflict its morale penalty. But if they simply run into your spears, then they're going to lose their own morale, and you'll be able to hold the line against even the mightiest Egyptian scythe chariots. So it's imperative to build Phalanx Pikemen in Antioch every single turn as soon as you build the necessary military building. After that, you can pretty easily conquer Egypt, in my opinion. They'll have plenty of stacks, but you'll be able to win every battle because the Egyptians are going to have a lot more spears than they do archers against you. And you'll be able to just simply outrange them with your very long spears versus their not-so-long spears. After Egypt, you should have a lot of money from these 3 cities. These are very rich cities. And in my own playthrough, I was able to conquer Parthia down here and finish off the Seleucids after that. Parthia was, of course, subjugated. It's perfectly fine to make Protectorate of Parthia. You can leave the crummy cities to them. And after that, your eyes should be set west towards Greece. This is the next phase that you're going to have to fight in. The Brutii will almost certainly have cities conquered over here, so get ready for that. In my own playthrough, the Brutii came over and landed on Rhodes, and I preemptively attacked them there before they besieged Rhodes. But they were pretty easy to handle because I had the Phalanx Pikemen at that point, which can handle the situation. So at that point, you're going to want to take over Greece and move up north and west and wherever you need to. Depends on how you're doing in Africa as well if you want to head on west to Leptis Magna, but now that I've opened the Fog of War, I would actually recommend not even bothering this way quite yet. I would actually recommend you land on the island of Sicily, which you'll find, I think, has fewer armies than does Africa here. So that is my strategy, following that first strategy. There is, however, a second strategy you can take at the very start of the game. Put everyone on the boats you start off with, land them up here, and with your spy on the boat as well, of course, and siege Kotais while this army is heading down south. And you should be able to time it so that you can conquer both Kotais and Artaxata before the army here manages to build siege equipment and conquer Sinope. So you won't have to fight Armenia's horse archers at all. Armenia's horse archers are very difficult to beat because they outrange your own Pontic light cavalry, which you have access to at the start of the game. You only have a range of 50 and their range is 120, so they'll be able to shell you before you even get close. The only way to beat those horse archers, if you really need to, is to force them to fight you in melee, because your own melee stats of melee attack 7 is better than theirs 3, and your own defense of 7 is better than theirs very low total defense of, I think, 2 or something like that. But that's the only way I found that you can effectively beat the Armenian horse archers, is to just force them to go into melee with you. But nonetheless, if you follow that strategy, you should be able to conquer Armenia and finish them off very quickly. You'll have 4 settlements. Your economy will be slightly stronger, but not as stronger as if you were to take these 2. But then you're going to be pretty much forced to take Pharaspa and Arsacia here and conquer Parthia. Shouldn't be too tall a task. You should have a very large army here against what will probably not be a full stack by the Parthians at that point in the game. We're talking the first 10 turns here of the game, so you should have a great army marching over here. There is a weakness in that, however, that the Seleucids and Greek cities might attack you over here, so just be quick about it. Or just accept your losses, and you might just have to reconquer these later. I did not explore that option in my own playthrough. You're going to have to excuse me. You're going to have to test that out for yourselves, of course. But nonetheless, it should lead you to victory, just as the first strategy does eventually. Minor problem is that there's a great distance between the north and south provinces here, as you can see. So it might just be worth your while to head on back with this army and just keep a stack in Arsacia and build another army in these settlements and secure your western flank in Anatolia that way. But I did not explore that. I cannot say any more on the matter. So one note I would like to make of Pontus is that, number one, you'll notice you only have the technology to build dirt roads. Unfortunately, in Rome 1, there's no such, like, technology learning. Like, you're stuck with the technology that your culture permits. Like, I wish it would be pretty cool if you could, like, after conquering a settlement with paved roads, you could learn how to build paved roads yourself, but that seems to be out of bounds in this game. But I would like to note that you do not have any water buildings, any water infrastructure, such as public baths or sewers or similar. That's going to be a problem when your cities become, when the population of your city exceeds 10,000. Because at that point you'll have plagues in cities rather frequently, you'll notice. And you can't do anything to prevent those with sewers or public baths, as you could the Greek, officially Greek factions and officially Roman factions that you're all very familiar with, I presume. So that is a minor note there. As Pontus, you're going to be, of course, you have access to some of the wonders here in Egypt, such as the Colossus of Rhodes, and once you conquer, of course, Sardis and Halicarnassus, the Temple of Artemis. This is much more useful, admittedly, than the Mausoleum here. By the end of the game, this will make very little difference. And your biggest trading cities for money are going to be Salamis. This is worth a lot of money in this game. I myself have merchants making 1,700 gold here, 600, and 600. As well as Jerusalem. Do not undercount Jerusalem is also going to make you a lot of gold. I have a merchant making 1,200 gold here.
Your honor?
Yeah, a lot of money is going to be made once you conquer Egypt. So that should be able to set you up for victory in the campaign here. You may also pursue the task of conquering Campus Alani if you like. Depends if you have the resources by the end of the game. But it may just be worth your while to advance north from Greece. That may just be the better strategy here. Okay, thank you for watching, everybody. That does it for Pontus. One of the more difficult starts, I must admit, but should be a fun playthrough nonetheless for you guys. Alright, have fun out there, and keep playing Rome Remastered. I can only hope that there's a Medieval 2 Remastered coming at some point. It's been about 3 years now, but that's neither here nor there. Alright, have a good one, everybody.